Hello friends, Jenkins here, bringing you another Dota 2 video on behalf of Dota Alchemy. And as you probably know already from watching maybe other videos on the channel, I do a lot of replay analysis from competitive games, but every now and then I like to take a look at pub replays just because the main thing that I do personally is I play pubs. And I know that pro players are going to have a different take on pubs than they do in competitive, of course, because it's a totally different environment. And you can win in pubs from doing something completely different than what you would do in competitive. So we have a replay here. This is OG.Ceb. He's playing Beastmaster, which is quite possibly the best offlaner right now. And I just wanted to take a look and see all the little nuances of what he was doing in this game. So without further ado, let's just get into it. So there are a few things right at the start that I found very interesting about this game. Number one, Ceb's item build to start with is Ring of Protection, Enchanted Mango, Fairy Fire. These are not items that you would really see in most offlaners' inventories to start in like the last 5 to 6 months. I think the reason that he started Ring of Protection is because it builds into the eventual Vlads, which by the way, he doesn't even go boots. He values the Vlads so highly, he rushes straight Vlad. So essentially the Ring of Protection is going to build into that, which is arguably the best offlaning item right now just because of how cost-effective it is and how it contributes to basically the perfect offlane playstyle with how everybody wants to play the offlane right now. So it's going to build into that, and then also with the new armor calculation that is in Dota, 2 armor is going to give you a lot more than it used to. So you're going to get a lot of damage reduction from that in the lane. So this is the second thing that I found interesting. We can see that only when the Troll Warlord can't turn around and hit Beastmaster for a free hit, that's when Ceb backs off. And the reason that that's really important to me is because in a lot of games, I will see something like this, where there's a Troll plus Oracle who runs up and they act very aggressive to this Beastmaster Tusk lane. And then the Beastmaster Tusk, because the Troll and the Oracle are playing aggressive, they back off. And Ceb made some calculations prior to this game, probably because he's played this hero a lot. He knows this matchup. He knows that he's going to be stronger. He knows that the Troll and Oracle cannot actually trade with the Tusk Beastmaster. So he does not let himself get intimidated by the Troll turning and hitting him. So the Troll takes a very, very ineffective trade because the Troll was trying to play a typical carry role and just like be very intimidating and try to get as much as he can out of potentially outplaying his opponent. So instead of getting outplayed, Ceb just says, okay, I understand that you're trading with me in order to try to get free hits. I'm not going to give you any free hits, so you're going to take a lot of damage for this. The other thing that I found interesting about this replay is that he sends the Hawk very, very early to block the camp, and he sends 3 Hawks to block the camp. Every minute, he sends a Hawk to block the easy camp, of course, so they can't pull the lane back because they know that they're going to do very, very well on this lane. And what I found interesting about this is not that he blocked the camp, because that's pretty obvious on Beastmaster. You're going to want to do that. But what I found interesting is the fact that after he sends like 3 Hawks or 3 or 4 Hawks, he just doesn't send any more Hawks because he knows that the lane is already won, and if a pull happens, he'll probably just dive and kill the Troll or Oracle on that pull. So essentially, he doesn't waste mana blocking that camp past the first few minutes, because he knows that if a pull happens once they're strong, they just dive and kill the opponents. So a lot of people say, Jenkins, you make too many offlane videos, make more mid videos, make more support videos, and I agree that is definitely valid. I should make more videos dedicated to those roles, but with that being said, I do think that there are lessons that can be learned from looking at offlane replays, for example, where it's going to matter in the other roles as well. So for example, here we have a situation where Ceb is healing up with Beastmaster, using a salve. Troll's over here, he's very low, and just something that happens here I found very, very interesting, where a lot of other players would probably die. So you can see that the Oracle puts himself out of position. He has 2 boars on the Oracle, and it looks like he's going to kill him. So it gets a few hits off, 1 more hit. The boar even hits in the trees, which God knows this Oracle is probably really, really low HP, like 1 hit away from dying, right? But what Ceb does is very, very smart. So instead of overcommitting for the Oracle, which I think a lot of people would do in Dota right now just because people are incredibly kill hungry, he turns and starts hitting the Troll Warlord. And the reason that he did that is because the risk to reward ratio of chasing the Oracle into the trees is not really that good. He's already very low. The kill doesn't really matter that much because he's already lost his HP, so he's going to have to walk back to base anyway. And the risk of going into those trees is that he could run up here, overcommitting for the Oracle, get kited around these trees, and then the troll just the whole time hits him. So essentially, the reason he didn't go for the Oracle here is not because he didn't think he could kill the Oracle. It was because the troll was hitting him, and he could basically be giving the troll a free kill if he goes into the trees here and tries to chase the Oracle. So instead of overcommitting, he understands that he already got a lot from that trade, and he turns to the troll because that way the troll can't hit him, of course, because if you're threatening the troll, then the troll can't just sit there and get a bunch of free hits on you. And we can see that the troll even turned to like hit Beastmaster on the way out. Like this guy's very, very aggressive and greedy. So I think he definitely would have actually killed Ceb if he had chased the Oracle into the trees there. Another really important lesson that I've noticed in this replay is that Ceb will almost never try to pressure when there is a double wave against him. And I think that's a lesson that can be extended to the other roles, particularly because the offlane is supposed to be the highest pressure role. So you'd think you always have this impulse to always try to pressure the carry, to be the lane that is winning and the one that is pushing an advantage. But the simple fact is, when there's a double wave pushing against you, you don't have an advantage, at least in that moment. You need to be very, very careful, and Ceb will literally just sit AFK waiting for a double wave to come into him. And there are multiple times in the replay where this happens. Like, he really, really values not taking any damage whatsoever on a double wave because he knows how ineffective the trades will be. However, on the flip side, he pressures relentlessly when he's the one with the double wave. So it's like he goes AFK when the double wave is against him and just waits for it. He barely even last hits. He only uses mechanics like the creep aggro tricks and stuff like that to get some last hits, but only if he takes no harass. And when he has the wave advantage, he will harass relentlessly. So there hits a point in this game where Tusk starts roaming, and it becomes very dangerous for Ceb to occupy this area up here past the river. And he also hits 6, so I think basically what he's thinking right now is that if he goes jungling, he's not going to risk dying in this top lane where there could potentially be an Earth Spirit, and of course there's the Oracle. But also he's going to be off the map, which means that whoever is mid, which we have, I think, Dendi online, you have to be really careful when the Beastmaster is missing because he could just walk up and roar you. So essentially what Ceb does is he does this rotation between the jungle where he could potentially be ganking when he's jungling and defending the tower. So he's just jungling, going to the tower, jungling, going to the tower, jungling, going to the tower, and all he's doing is keeping the tower alive. He knows that he can farm just as quickly in the jungle, and maybe if he feels like it, or if he sends out a smoke or something like that, he will go for a gank from the jungle, and because he's gone to the jungle so many times, they're not going to expect it. Also, he rushed straight Vlads in this lane. He did not go for boots. This is how much he values this item. And also, he goes for the small items first. So he gets the headdress, gets the Ring of Basilius. And I think this is very similar to the Bracer strategy that people were doing, previous to this week. Like 2 weeks ago, everybody's just going all bracers. I think the small items that build into Vlad's work exactly the same. They're very cost-effective items that you can get early, that you can essentially allows you to pressure very hard, except it builds into this very, very effective late-game item as well. So what Ceb does next at about 15 minutes into the game is incredibly, incredibly important in my opinion, at the very least for offlane players. So the way that he's playing this game right now from the mid to the late game is completely the same. It's completely static. He essentially does the same thing for like 15 minutes, but it's very, very important because basically every offlaner is doing this right now. And by every offlaner, I mean every offlane player, and every offlane hero has capabilities of doing this. And that's because it's just really, really good. So basically what he's doing is he teleports immediately to the most dangerous area of the map, which is this bot area. He knows the entire enemy team is probably going to be occupying this area. Since Spectre is top, his whole team is top, so they're safe there. He sees Lion mid. He saw a couple people bought here with this ward, and this is the lane where they just took the safe lane tower. This is just the most common place for the enemy team to occupy at 15 minutes into the game. So he puts himself in this lane in the most dangerous position, and the reason for that is because in the current meta, there are a lot of these mids like Huskars, Outward Devourers, these Slarks, PAs, Spectres on carry, where both core roles need space to be made for them. So you need somebody to be playing that suicide lane position where you're just going to the most dangerous, dead lane, as BSJ would like to call it, position. Otherwise, there's not going to be enough farm on the map. You're going to have an offlaner that has no farm. So this is his way of both getting farm, and this is going to prevent the enemy team from just steamrolling every tower because they have greedy heroes, and they're going to have map control if he's down here. So the way that he occupies this area is he pushes out the lane, and this is going to essentially, he pushes out the lane. He doesn't keep pushing past all that is necessary to get the lane simply rolling into the opposite direction. So this creep wave is going to meet up with this creep wave, and it's going to form a double wave, and it's going to push into the enemy tower. And what that's going to do is it's going to reveal somebody in this position. It's going to split the enemy team up between if they want to occupy this jungle area and potentially look for a gank, like if they do decide to go kill him, somebody's going to have to defend the tower. So basically he doesn't push up because he wants to do this safely, because the longer that he can do this, the longer he secures this tower, the longer he secures this area for Spectre by virtue of being in the most dangerous area on the map, which allows his team to be up here. So essentially he just pushes the lane into the opponents and goes and jungles in the nearby area. The reason he jungles is because, of course, he needs to farm, and he's also made this jungle area safe by virtue of pushing this lane out, because he has vision on the puck now. So as you can see, actually, he walked up and he put the boar on the camp, and he didn't even hit with the Beastmaster because he didn't see the enemy heroes that were looking to gank. But when he saw the puck, he starts hitting with the Beastmaster. Puck pushes the lane in. He goes back to the lane and does his job. He's just going to push it in this direction, go jungle, push it in this direction, go jungle. And what that's going to do is it's eventually going to force the enemy team to make a move that is stupid. They're either going to dive him, and he's going to be really, really close to his tower, and also the most tanky hero on his team, and also the hero who has the most vision and capabilities of pushing this lane and turning a fight on his team. Like, for instance, he sees this happening, right? He has the hawk on these guys, but he wants this. This is ideal. He wants to bait these guys into a position where they're just jerking off down here and doing nothing, and he's still getting farm. Like, essentially, if they think that they can potentially kill him, so he puts himself in that dangle zone where it's like they can kill him. Look at them pinging him. Like, they want to go on him, but he's actually very, very safe here. It's making so much space for his team, and he's just farming, but he's actually winning the game for his team. And because he pushed this lane out, because he's been doing this for so long, it essentially sets up for a really, really good fight, just because the enemy team is forced to make a really stupid move. And this is always what happens, and this is why the offlane is such a crucial role right now, because this needs to be done in a typical game of Dota. So they get a really, really good fight, and of course, with a Huskar plus Spectre, you're very happy with the fight turning out like this. And now, after they get 2 kills, the game has essentially moved from that period where it's like the tension is on, the enemy team is looking for a gank. It's that kind of like farming period where you have a Spectre, you kind of want to just farm, but you don't want to just take any fight because you know they're stronger because they had a 4K gold lead. And then it goes into this period where they could just farm whatever they want because the enemy team is dead. Huskar dies because he's an idiot, but that happens. Basically, people are dead, so they can just split up and take a bunch of farm off the map. Once the enemy team is back alive and they are together, it's going to go back into that kind of economic, playing the suicide lane sort of play style for Beastmaster. So he farms up the stack just because, like I said, it's that farming grace period where nothing really needs to happen. They've gotten space, they've done a good job, and he's just taking what he can get. So basically, for the rest of this game, Ceb just plays that exact same play style where he will just occupy the most unsafe area of the map, use the Hawks to scout, make sure that he doesn't die, force fights that are stupid for the enemy team. Then they force a good fight, they run down a lane with all of the summons with Huskar, and they take racks, they win the game. It's very, very simple, and I've seen a lot of games won this way from the offlane position. So if you're an offlaner, definitely look to do this. If you're playing against an offlaner, don't fall for the trap of being baited into their bullshit, essentially. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate it, guys, and I hope to see you in another video.